Hi guys, this is Jesse in the Church and Effect. Thank you very much for tuning back. Today I want to talk to you guys about something that actually came about with one of my friends. She made a video about crossdressers and transvestites, and the honey buns. She my friend and ex-roommate. She's one of my best friends. I love her to death. But the thing is that she actually made a video on which basically she expresses her dislike about crossdressers and transvestites. But it is not in the fashion of saying like, okay, so if you're trying to look for what you are, and if you have to if you have to go through those areas, as I did, is different. But and I'm gonna say why it's different, because the thing is that, like, for example, a regular crossdresser or transsexual, crossdresser or transvestite, actually would prey on trans women, and say like, oh, I'm just trying to transition, I don't know what to do, I would like to have some information. And then you go there and then you're like, okay, so what type of information do you want and stuff like that. Well, here are some websites and stuff like that. Do this, do that. And it's like, oh, okay. And then they go back and forth. And then at one point they're like, can you send some pictures? What? Pictures of what? Of a dog or a cat? I don't understand what. And so the thing is that in most of the issue here is the issue that Dee and myself we have is that they piggyback on the struggle of our community, and they say they belong to the trans community, but they really don't. That is a sexual fetish. And even though the rainbow actually involves a variety of sexual preferences and things of that nature, or orientation, and that's one of the biggest debates right now within the rainbow community, is whether the trans community should be included in the rainbow or not. Because it's not about orientation or a sexual thing. It's about a gender identity, which is very, very different. And but obviously, I have spoken with leaders of my community about that, and they said like, no, the trans community is part of us. They were a huge part of the whole thing as it started. If it wasn't because of trans women, Stonewall will not be there, or maybe, I don't know for how many other years we could just basically just continue getting the abuse and the exploitation of the society. So but the thing is that with the transgender community is very different, because it is not a sexual thing. When I started, there was actually barely access to any internet. This is how old I am. And to actually be able to get some sort of information that would include that type of struggle or explanation of what a transgender person would be, it was very difficult. Everything was blurred in between pornography and fetish, so it was either you are a crossdresser, you are a transvestite, or you are a transsexual, and everything has to do with pornography. It had nothing to do with being, So it was really, really difficult to get to that information. It was extremely hard to come down to terms and find out. You had to go to other people that were doing the same to actually try to figure it out. But myself, just arriving from a small town to a big city, such as Phoenix, and then not knowing anyone, and then like trying to figure things out. It was very confusing. So long story short, I started going. I started getting access to the internet. I started getting access to groups, to support groups, and these support groups would be about crossdressers or transvestites, and there were no transsexuals. And I would go to those places, and they would be meeting at somebody else's house and stuff like that, and we'll chat, and somebody will be changing in the bathroom and stuff like that, and everybody would change, and then at one point everything will break into like a big old ew scene, like there will be mirrors everywhere, and people will be just placing themselves while they're looking at the mirror. It was just gross. I'm like, what are you guys doing? I was so confused. I just didn't know what to do. So, and this is actually, this might come to surprise to some of my friends, and that actually watch the channel. And I just was trying to figure out myself, and I'm old enough, so I really don't care that much anymore. So, shh. Uh, but anyways, so then I knew that I was not a crossdresser or a transvestite, and transsexual seemed way too far out. I just didn't know what I was going to be able to do in order to change. So when it came down to specific, once I got in contact with a friend of mine through a bar that was, there's a bar here in Arizona, here in Phoenix, and that is usually for trans people on weekends. And I went there, with jeans, and a top and flats, sandals actually. And everybody thought I was just a cisgender girl. And then I started speaking, and everybody was like, "Whoa, Latin sis." But and then like my friend Monica, she started to talk to me, and then we started I started asking a lot of questions. She was the first trans woman that I was able to actually really talk in person. And I'm talking, I'm asking it, and I'm asking, and I know that I'm making and I know that it's actually, she wants to have a good time, and then I'm asking her questions that are really just deep inside it, that they need to be answered. And then she's like, "Why don't you just come tomorrow?" I'm like, "I'm not gonna be able to come here tomorrow. I'm probably not in the next 2 months or 3 months. God knows when." And then I saw her next time, like about 6 months later, and then I started questioning more and stuff like that. And that's when I started to realize that it was not what I thought it was. It was something deeper. It was something more complex. And unfortunately, some of us, we have to go through that route in order to figure things out. For you young trans people, for you, whether it's male to female or female to male, you guys have so much access to information, and I really hope that you are using that information in order to make a very, very well informed decision, because transition is not for everybody. I said it before, and I will keep on saying it later on. Transition is not for everybody, and to be prepared for what transition is going to bring is something like, I can just talk about it, but until you experience it, is when it actually really hits home. So I get really disappointed when supposedly trans people will contact me and say like, hey, you know what, I need information, I need to know about these things, and I provide information, and I spend time talking to them and stuff like that, and then later on they come to me and they're like, can you please send some pictures? I'm like, what? It's just so inappropriate. Is like, don't say that you're trans, because in reality you really don't know the struggle. Don't say that you're trans when you well know that all you want to do is just to look at yourself in the mirror and just please yourself, just because that is your sexual thrill. And if that is your thing, just keep it. Just keep it to yourself. I really don't want to know. I really have zero interest on that. I don't need to know that. And also, don't ask me for any pictures just because you think that just because you have earned some trust, that now you're entitled to ask for some pictures. It's just, what a waste of time. What a waste of time and effort. And basically, you are just giving a bad name to your own community. Don't piggyback on the struggle of our community. That actually, because we are the ones that we don't have to change. We don't go back, into a boy mode, so I can have my male privilege and just work, be successful and stuff like that, and on the weekend I can get my sexual thrill. Dude, no. We are the ones that are discriminated. We are the ones that are actually insulted on the street. You think that the insults that you might get while you are on girl mode, they're actually thrilling? You have no idea what it's like to be a woman. You have no idea. It makes me furious. It makes me furious that people out there actually think that is something that they can cash onto it. That our struggle, that our disadvantages, that our that it's just frustrating and infuriating. And I know this video is long, but the thing is that you young trans people that actually will be endeavoring into your transition, you will get to realize what I'm talking about, because every single trans woman, actually, we have to experience those things. We have to experience the creeps. We have to experience the guys that actually would pretend to be girls, and then later on they will be asking you for pictures just because they want their sexual thrill. They want their sexual release. And then they get offended. They get offended. What is the the worst part is they get offended. They don't get it. They don't get it. It's just like making fun of slaves, almost, Like, oh, yeah. What an inappropriate thing to do. It's just, I can't. How do you make fun of a struggle? How do you make fun of, or making fun of the Holocaust? I'm a Jew. How you dare to make fun of that and say like, oh yeah, yeah, because my grandfather was a Jew, I'm able to piggyback on this thing. I can make fun of the Holocaust. Well, even your father doesn't make you a Jew. And by being a Jew, you will have to really, it's by blood only, and then you get hated by everybody. It's one of those things that we don't ask for it, but they're just there. In life, we don't ask to be trans, and yet here we are. So keep in mind, if you're a crossdresser, if you're a transvestite, you're still trying to define yourself, please be respectful. Please use the most and outermost respect. Now, if you think that you're trans, educate yourself first. Review a lot of different material and decide if you want to lose your male privilege, if you want to be ridiculed and abused, if you want to lose your job just because you are, if you want to be mistreated just because people do not understand you. And I'm not talking about your sexual thrill, about just getting yourself into the like in front of a mirror and dressing up, being all dolled up, and just being able to release yourself. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that everybody will be just misunderstanding you just because you want to be a girl. And it's not that and a lot of people will be like, well, I am a sissy. That is a sexual thrill as well. That does not make you transgender. And because having breasts, having a vagina, having a uterus actually doesn't make you a woman. Walking in heels, or dressing completely in feminine clothes, that doesn't make you a woman. Gender is in the brain. It's not on the outer parts. And trans men will be able to whip to hell to that just because it doesn't make you. Just don't piggyback on our struggle. Don't disrespect us. Don't make us less of that what we are. Because that's like kicking you while you're already on the ground. Ugh. It makes me so angry that I just want to cry out of the frustration. Because yeah, I still get mail on the like if you guys go on the about section of my channel, you guys will be able to see like there's an email address for people that want to contact me, and those people are really good on finding information. So I get those emails. Obviously they get deleted and blocked, but just don't disrespect us. Don't disrespect us. Don't say that you're trans when you know better that you are not. Because you don't want to renounce to your male privilege. Because that gives you the power. You don't want to renounce onto your whatever tool you use. Just because that gives you the sexual thrill. Anyways. I'm gonna end it up right here just because it's too long. It's, but thank you very much for tuning back, guys, and girls. Just leave your comments down below. If get us your experiences. I wanna read your experiences as well, and I. And once again, I don't want to have you guys thinking that that if you're a crossdresser or you're transvestite, you are wrong uh, on the matter of just being. No, just keep it to yourself. There's a big community for that. There's a place and time for everything. That's fine. That's your thing. Just do it. But don't say that you're trans when you're not. Don't call yourself trans just because. That is a big insult to us, to the ones that we have to face the struggle, the ones that we're fighting to actually get our own community involved, or getting our community accepted by workplace, by government, by society. Because you're not part of any of those three type of struggles. You're just there just for your sexual deviance, and that's it, which has nothing to do with this three. This is you. This is us. So, I hope that some girls actually will be able to speak out about this issue, and let me know what you guys think, guys. Also, if because also guys, they are also basically lured into the fact that somebody says like, oh, I'm transgender, and they're honestly interested on transgender girl, and then they go with this person and they find out that it's actually a crossdresser or a transvestite who has no intentions to transitioning, and then what a waste of time. So guys, I need to find out from you too, and just try. I didn't want to get too upset, but I'm about to just cry in frustration just because this issue has been an issue that I've been trying to do for a long time and I have not been able to, but so you can see it's quite a long material. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next time. Until then, keep on smiling. Bye.